My name is Alistair Humphreys. I set out on a bicycle journey around Yorkshire to speak to interesting, ordinary people who, in very different ways, are making an effort to live adventurously. I wanted to talk about what they do, about the barriers they've faced along the way, and to seek their perspective on some of the big questions that all of us encounter in our lives. Welcome to Living Adventurously. I've written here, needs intro music. Okay, here we go. That'll do. The Yorkshire Sculpture Park is the UK's leading open-air gallery, and it was a fantastic place to pootle about for a few hours, pretending I'm more intelligent than I really am. From there, I rode to another global cultural landmark, Elland Road, the home of the mighty Leeds United. By now, I was hungry, so I was delighted to receive a text message from Ben telling me that he was cooking me lunch. I'm always keen for lunch, even more so when it's enjoyed on a canal boat / raft made out of recycled junk. Ben Cummins is a man on a mission. He's also a good chef, cooked me a very nice sort of lentil curry thing. He's a man on a mission, and Ben's mission is to deliver a piano from Liverpool to London on a homemade raft. He has given himself up to 25 years to complete this journey. So far, though, it has taken him 7 years to push his raft. He's pushing it the whole way. 7 years to push his raft the 127 miles from Liverpool to Leeds. This adventure began when Ben asked himself a brilliant question. What is it that I want from my life? I am sitting on... Well, Ben, what am I sitting on?
You're sitting on what I would like to think of as a floating centre of excellence.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd want me to say a boat.
It's a raft or a raft, depending where you're from. I've made it out of reclaimed materials that I found along my journey from Liverpool to Leeds.
Liverpool to Leeds, that's what, how many miles is that?
127 miles.
So what, got here in 2-3 weeks?
No, I got here in 5 years and I've been sticking around for almost 2 years in Leeds.
Yeah, your adventure is putting to shame anything I've ever done in terms of epicness. So
I don't know about that, but you know.
What's your press release mission statement of this whole enterprise?
I'm delivering a piano from Liverpool to London, and I've given myself 1 to 25 years to complete the mission.
Perfect. I think absolutely brilliant. I'm on your raft now. You just cooked me a lovely lunch. We're having really nice coffee. It's a beautiful kind of homely raft. I was telling you, it reminds me very much of my friend Nick, who used to live in a tree house. You got that similar sort of artistic tendency. It's a really, really lovely place. Big open windows looking out over the canal, and then some massive wall with barbed wire. But you're telling me you quite like the wall. This has been your home for a while.
I like the wall. Or it's more of a case of I've moved here and I probably didn't like the wall, so it was my job to convince myself that I liked the wall. So now, I'm starting to put some meaning to the wall, and now I like it.
Okay, that's a good way. That's a good approach to life, isn't it? That the wall will be there, so I might as well like it. So back in the olden days, before you started on your delivery of a raft from Liverpool to London, you actually had a real job. You were a university lecturer.
Oh, I was, yeah. I've got a visitor that's dropping me off something, I think. Okay. So
I'll press pause and we'll carry on. Yeah, you have some eccentric neighbours on your adventure. So back in the old days, you had a proper job as a university lecturer.
I was doing that for 14 years, and it was as a visiting lecturer. So I always got invited back by popular demand from the students. There was I loved that as an art form, actually, making workshops, producing lectures with it. But it was time to leave that and go on my adventure.
Earlier, when we were chatting, you said a phrase which really grabbed me so much so that I wrote it down, which is, you said you got to a time in your life when you said to yourself, what is it that I want? And I think that's a crucial but very rare question we ask ourselves. Do you remember that time?
Yeah, I think that things weren't really going well, or everything that I was trying to do was just a great struggle and always seemed like it was on the horizon but never seemed to be manifesting. And I think I needed some solitary time and peace, and I imagined being on the water, and I imagined a raft, and I imagined a piano. And everything seemed to take shape after that. I mean, that image actually hung around for about a year and a half before anything happened.
Okay, that's something I find really interesting. The time of going from life's not quite right. What is it that I want? Having this sort of idea. But then the idea hung around. And I think for a lot of people, it just stays hanging around, doesn't it? What was it then that helped you turn that daydream into a reality? Was there a catalyst?
I started doing lots of sketches of different rafts, and I had this idea of a modular raft. So you build like a floating box that you'll be able to lorry strap together to another floating box that you could move around each wall, let's say. Think of terms of Lego. Lego is modular. You can stick it together and make different shapes with it. So, yeah, I was making these shapes and drawing these sketches and getting ideas and working out how it could be built. And then I met this artist, Ben Parry, and he showed me this raft he built. He got commissioned for the Liverpool Biennial, and it was beautiful, and it was going to get destroyed if it wasn't going to be saved. And I was just shocked. I thought, wow, I didn't realise it could come that quick. It didn't come that quick. It had been a year and a half of me devising this and still not going, but still moving in that direction. And then all of a sudden there was a big push because I had to save a raft.
Okay.
So I headed up to Liverpool 2 weeks later, sort of dropped everything I was doing in London and got it on the water, or actually got it out of this warehouse that was needing to destroy it. It was beautiful. We put it on the water in late September, and I rapidly saw it get ripped to pieces by the severe Lancashire conditions.
Not the severe Lancashire people.
Well, there's... No, I've had actually very little vandalism. In actual fact, I can't think of any vandalism. There's been plenty of thieves, but no vandals.
Oh, that's good. So what was before the trip began? And I'm sensing you and I approach life in different styles, but perhaps towards a similar destination. I'm not sure. But before you began, did you have some sort of practical worries of, I'm worried about X, Y, and Z? And then how did those worries compare to the reality of once you'd committed and started?
I think that's how a lot of things don't get done, because we can overthink them, and we can spend time engineering the how. And with engineering the how, it makes sense. You've got a plan. What that does is, I would say, engineering the how can make a great practice of being able to embody where you're going, imagine it more. But it's also great to allow the how, just drop the how as well, because life can just throw you something very interesting, and you could really ignore it if your ideas are too solid.
So drop the how in favour of what?
Allow.
Oh, allow. Okay. So instead of the how, just allow.
Yeah.
I like
it. You know, as I say, with how, it's very mentally based, and you're trying to engineer something that's out of your control in a way, the outside world. So with an open mind, it's good to just drop the how. But nonetheless, you've exercised the how. You've gone through, you've made some plans, you've thought about it, then you drop it, and then you can come back to it and maybe think of other ways of that happening. But really, to just drop it all, but really try to be open with any avenues that come. Well, that's the game, isn't it? That's the fun. That's more interesting than the goal.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, opening yourself up to curiosity and possibility.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to say. It was a really good question. I've completely forgotten it. Oh man,
it will come back.
I need more of your nice coffee. So the barriers of getting on and doing stuff. I remember what I was going to ask. Did you worry what people would think about you going to live a willfully unconventional life? Did you worry about that?
I've led an unconventional life for most of my life, with various. I've lived in pods up in warehouses in London when you could afford to do that.
So how weird are you on a scale of 1 to 10?
Weird. Well, I don't think I'm weird.
I've been asking a lot of people this question deliberately because, and some people answer that they don't think they're weird, but perhaps the outside world looks at them, and some people think that they're really weird. So I was interested. You don't think you're weird?
No, I mean,
nor do I. I think I'd say you're eccentric from my brief perspective of knowing you, but not weird.
Yeah. I'll go with eccentric.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you weren't too worried about that sort of side of things. Did you have anything else in your head that you were anxious about that was stopping you committing to beginning?
I don't want to be a numpty when I put myself on the water and oh, look at that. I don't want to be irresponsible. I want to be safe. I want to do things when it's not crazy winds. Those things were the things that concern me. I guess they're things that show that your head's together and stuff. But then it also concerns me about having to sort of be worried about what society think. I think that we're becoming far more society-based beings. Now we've entered the global village. The internet, we've become really sort of entrenched in society. I'm not sure whether that's great or not. It puts a lot of weight on society and political correctness, and it's all good and interesting. I'm fascinated by it, but also just going out and doing things as if you were the only person on the planet. But you should be able to have that freedom within you. Do you know what I mean?
To live the life of your choice.
Yeah, to live a life of freedom, which is not worrying about what others think.
Okay, but you've chosen on this trip to you're not fully embracing solitude. You're not just stopping in the fields of Yorkshire. You're choosing to be active in society along the way. How's the what sort of impact have the communities you've stayed with had on you?
I've been in. So a lot of the journey has been pretty solitary, going through Lancashire and in Yorkshire. There's been, you know, my friends have been farmers, or actually on this line there's a lot of engineers. It's where Rolls-Royce Aerospace is right in the middle of on this canal route. There's obviously farmers, and farmers have become engineers. So it's kind of upon the land, this area. So I've met some very interesting people along there, but also it's been very sparse. So when I've come to the city, it's changed my way of being profoundly. I was immediately out there and looking to see bands and artists and dancers and people that you find in the city, and you're very unlikely to find on a remote part of middle class Lancashire or where you know. So. What was the question?
You answered it very well. So you've got this. There's various sort of phases to what you're doing. There's the solitary, the community, the journey, the art thing. But in my mind, and the reason I was interested in you is that everything you do, to me, feels like you are trying, in your way, to live adventurously, and perhaps that's where our Venn diagrams overlap. So I'm interested in knowing what you would think of the phrase living adventurously. What might that mean to you?
Do
you think you are living adventurously?
Yeah, I think I'm living adventurously, but at the same time, like I'd noticed that you like to maybe push yourself and get yourself into exciting places. Like it seems like you do that. You go out and you head out to those things, and that I feel like that they're kind of they could be almost akin to pilgrimages, because you have this travelling thing. I'm debating whether I'm on a pilgrimage or not, because I am moving slowly, but it's 25 years, so it's just I'm creating an environment. So adventure, I think that adventure is found within the medium that I'm within, the ship, it's going to give me an adventure. That's by default. So, yeah, adventure is something that is it's just found. So, and I do like to chase it once it's there, and I'm interested in it, and I like to say yes to lots of things.
What aspects of an adventurous life appeals to you? Because you're not off bungee jumping, for example, but I think adventure is far broader than that, isn't it? So, what aspects of adventure appeal to you?
Socially, the people that I've met along the way, where they take me, where you might get driven off to, or end up in a pub, to a club, to a house, to a farm, to a back of an allotment in Blackburn, to maybe some romance. So there's
yes, perhaps is it about opening yourself up to possibility?
Yes, and I think it's also that thing of, again, trying not to engineer the how, but have an anchor. You know, and I have an anchor, so my anchor's, I'm delivering a piano from Liverpool to London to give myself 1 to 25 years to complete the mission. That's a big anchor. It's a big framework. It certainly can't ground me every day with the ventures that I'm having within that box. But I've got other anchors along the way of, you know, this platform and everything that happens on it, and its development for it to become a floating centre of excellence is my anchor. I'm obsessed with the idea. We're sitting in an extension of my body at the moment. You know, I live in it. I look around it.
You built it as well.
Yeah, I've built it.
You said, I read about you somewhere online, that you said that this is a purposeless mission. Is that true?
When did I say that?
I don't know, but that's clever. It caught my eye. It caught my attention because the thing I've found about adventures in my life is that I want to be bold and I want to be curious and I want to be out there, but my natural instinct is a bit more lazy and shy and retiring. And what I've found is by forcing myself just to get out the front door and say, right, I'm going to go to there. It doesn't really matter where there is, and I don't actually really care about getting there. It just, the mission then allows all the interesting unknown stuff to happen along the way.
Yeah, and does it seem like it's purposeless?
Well, there's a nominal aim. So, for example, I cycled around the world. Did I care about getting to the finish line? No, not really. I mean, if I'd stopped the trip 100 yards before the finish line, it would have made zero difference, the whole experience, even though I wouldn't have achieved it. So yeah, it's just something to make me go and do interesting things. And do you actually, the delivery of the piano to London, is that a crucial part of what you're doing?
It feels like it's maybe it feels like I'm in a massive bubble, an enormous bubble. I can't really see outside that outer wall. You know, I'm just in it, and yeah, I think that has an influence that's working into me, and how I see my moves over the years. You know, I mean, I've got 19 years left. I've got some serious problems getting to London. I'm too wide for the canal.
Okay. But correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that you've got this idea and the end point is be nice, I guess, to deliver the raft, but really it's just giving you a framework from which to hang all of these fascinating experiences and adventures and learning experiences and characters and stuff that happens along the way.
Also, I'm not using any lines like it would be nice for me to deliver the raft. I'm delivering I've got this issue with Raft and Raft, by the way. I've been up here for so long.
You're becoming Yorkshire.
I moved Raft, Bath. Yeah, it's not just a case of, it would be nice if I do that. I'm not using that language. I'm delivering a piano from Liverpool to London, and I've given myself 1 to 25 years, and I'm pretty much like, I'm going for that. Yeah, I mean, could I say I'd be very disappointed? I could, if I didn't, but I'm not. I think I'd be very disappointed if I changed my language. So yeah, I'm delivering it, and I'm just going to engineer the how a little bit along the way. And then just allow again.
I like it. Well, you're 7 years in, and I think it's you have, if nothing else, a beautiful home and and fascinating neighbours and a cracking adventure. So I look forward to welcoming you under Tower Bridge in 2037.
I've got something for you.
Wow!
It's
gosh.
one of the hammers on the piano, and you can actually give it back if you refuse it. But I was thinking that when I get to London, could you bring that along?
I love the idea of you giving the little bits of the piano to everyone, just to orchestrate the finishing party.
Yeah, I think I'm going to continue that fashion. So you're the first that I've actually officially given a part of the piano to.
You give me a small piano hammer, and I am really thrilled and honoured to have this. It will take a nice place in the shed that I work in. My shed is my own version of your piano. It's not nearly as stylish as your Raft, but I will take place in there, and I'll welcome you into London in 2037.
Yeah, 2037. Cool. It doesn't have to be 2037. I've given myself 1 to 20 years.
Okay. Cool. Well, Ben, thank you so much for inviting me aboard and for cooking me lunch. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Living Adventurously. There's show notes from every episode on my website, alistairhumphreys.com/podcast. If you have enjoyed it, please take a screenshot of your phone and pop it up on social media, or leave a review with your podcast provider. It makes a massive difference. Thank you very much.